this is Harriet Grayson, your host and producer for Community Culture Showcase. And what we really love to showcase is our local artists. And today we have a wonderful organization and their executive director who's going to talk about their art shows and upcoming events. And so it's actually a thrill for me, first time that we are meeting, Lisbeth Dowd. Welcome indeed.
Hi, Harriet. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about your group and a little bit of its history and its connection to everything else that goes on here in Southeast Connecticut.
Great. Well, thank you for having me here today. The Lyme Art Association is a nonprofit art association, a very vibrant arts community in Old Lyme, Connecticut. It was founded in 1914 by a group of artists who had gathered there in Old Lyme in the prior years as part of the Lyme Art Colony. And it has been around ever since. And it's just a delightful place to be. We've got exhibitions through the year. We have art classes and workshops and demos and other educational programs and events. And I'm so happy to be here today to share some of our member artists' work with you.
Tell me, do you have any activities with the public schools in terms of art classes or providing art teachers for them?
We mostly focus on the classes for our adult students. We're very lucky to be in an arts district in Old Lyme. On one side of us, right next door, we have the Florence Griswold Museum, which we love. We're connected by a bridge across a little creek. And then just on the other side of I-95, we have the Lyme Academy. And then the public school system has its own very, very strong arts program as well. So we do have some crossover between instructors. But most of our classes that we offer are for adult students. We do offer a scholarship every year to a graduating senior from Old Lyme High School.
Oh, nice.
Who will be pursuing a degree in fine art with the generous sponsorship of the Murgy family.
That's wonderful.
It's a really great opportunity.
Well, this has been Old Lyme, the coast of Connecticut, has been a long time place where artists of all kinds flocked, because it's absolutely, unquestionably one of the most beautiful places, certainly in the United States. We have these ponds, we have the ocean, we have the breezes, which are great inspirations for artists. So I know you have a number of artists that you want to talk about. Why don't we start off by showing a photo of one of your artists and tell us a little bit about them and the picture?
That sounds great. Thank you, Harriet. Well, this painting here is by artist John Caggiano, and it is titled Tidal Flow, and it is painted in oil. And John is one of our elected artists. We have about 650 member artists.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's phenomenal. And a number of them are local, right in the Limes, along the coastal area, in New London, from Mystic, Stonington. But a number of our artists actually come from further afield as well. Now, John actually is from Rockport, Massachusetts. And I have to admit, I struggled choosing out of our 650 some odd member artists.
Yes.
I had to choose 8 for the show today.
Yes. And whittle it down dramatically. Yes, exactly.
I know, but I chose some of our elected artists. We have about 100 elected artists, and they are considered the best of the best. They are a new set of elected artists are selected yearly by their peers after a rigorous jurying process. And so I selected 8 of them for today. And every piece that you see today is actually on exhibit right now at the Lyme Art Association in our 102nd annual Elected Artist Show. Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
This has been going on for 102 years now. And the pieces I chose illustrate the breadth of styles of our artists. Now, the mission of the Lyme Art Association is to cultivate a love and appreciation of fine representational art through exhibitions, through educational programs, and also to maintain and preserve our historic building that houses our galleries. And representational art encompasses a number of different styles. It can range from hyperrealism through more paintings that tend toward abstraction. And we ask our artists, it's hard to make a defining line there sometimes, but we generally say if it's a landscape, if it has a horizon line, it's representational. If you can see something in it that you could imagine what that comes from in real life, it's representational. Now, John Caggiano, whose painting you see here, tends toward the more impressionistic side of our artists, towards more of an impressionistic sort of realism. He works a great deal on plein air, so he does a lot of painting outside.
That is the definition of it, yes.
On plein air, and a lot of our artists do that, and it comes from a strong tradition of artists working in the American Impressionism style in the early 20th century who loved working on plein air, who took a cue from some of their European counterparts, but really brought an American sensibility to their work, looking at American subject matter and taking inspiration from the landscapes around them, from the East Coast here in Massachusetts and Connecticut, Cascab, Old Lyme, all the way out to California and Laguna. One of our jurors for a recent exhibition, Rosemary Swim, is actually the president of the Laguna Plein Air Painters Association.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
out there in California,
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
yeah.
How does one become involved with your organization?
Oh, come on over.
Come
on over.
Oh, okay. I mean, anybody who's an artist can come to the association. How do you become a member? Is it a whole process? I mean, you've defined 100, and then you said there's something like 600. So what about the other 500? Who are these folks?
So we have an open membership process. So anybody who would like to become a member is welcome to join the Lyme Art Association. And our membership fee for base membership is $60 a year. And we are happy to welcome community members who are supporters and lovers of the art and member artists. And membership for our artists means that you are eligible to enter your work in our juried shows. And of course, then our members take classes and workshops and teach some of our classes and workshops as well. We have a lot of juried shows every year, up to 14 different exhibitions over the course of the year. There is always something on view, and it's always new, and it's so exciting always having something new up on the walls. We are delighted to see what our artists create every year. Most of our shows have a theme, and we always have more submissions than there is space for art on the walls. But we hope that that as many of our artists as possible get an opportunity to have something on view every year.
That's interesting. So almost anyone could at least show up, and then their works then could be examined more carefully. That's what you call a juried show, where
Yes.
there is competition and there are criticisms or actual awards given to people based on the reaction to a juried panel.
We bring in different jurors for every show, and the staff do not jury the shows. We have outside jurors come in, and we are always happy to provide feedback to our artists. And we encourage our artists to offer feedback to each other too, through critiques, through informal painting groups, through just collegial discussions. And we want to provide as many opportunities for growth to our artists as possible.
What, just for the curiosity, what's the age range of the people that are associated with your group?
I'd say that many of our artists tend toward being in their 40s and older, the ones who are exhibiting the most. But we also count among our members some younger artists as well. And we've got the Lyme Academy right down the street that's producing new artists. We've got the school system producing new artists. We do one very young artist show every year, which is not juried. It just, we open our walls to the community, to Old Lyme and surrounding communities, and invite young artists to submit a piece for a show once every year.
So this is like junior high and high school students?
All the way down to 5-year-olds.
Oh my gosh, okay. All
We want to
right.
bring families in. We think that admission to the gallery is always no charge.
Okay.
We're open to everybody. We want to bring as many people in to see the artwork as possible, and we just think it's wonderful to provide an opportunity for the young artists amongst us to show their work as well.
Yeah, exactly. Encourage them, right.
Take some pride. And,
Exactly.
yeah.
So we've got a number of artists. So let's see, who else do we have here? What's next for us to look at?
Oh, Christopher Zhang. Oh, Christopher Zhang is magnificent. We have 3 large pieces by him up in our elected artist show right now. Now, Christopher is currently living in East Lyme. He is originally from China.
Oh, okay.
And he has a long history of different styles of painting. And he started off, he does not actually have many samples of his early work, which really, many of them stayed in China. But after he left China, he started traveling more to Europe and exploring different styles there, and realized that he could combine some of the colors from the Impressionist palettes of Western Europe with some of the bold, strong brushstrokes of Russian realism to create paintings that had really tremendous impact. He does both landscapes and portraits. A lot of the paintings I'm featuring today are landscapes because we have so many artists with who work on plein air and really feature landscape heavily in their work, but I wanted to bring Chris's work in here as an example of one of our magnificent portrait artists.
Okay, and so he's now currently living in East Lyme.
In East Lyme, yeah.
And this is part of his latter part of his portfolio? In other words, this is more recent?
More recent, yes. Yes, we do ask our artists to try to submit works to our shows that are recent creations within just the past couple of years, perhaps, and to keep everything fresh and to see what's new in their repertoire.
Do many of them actually change their styles over the years?
Some of them do. Now, we have some artists who started off really working in a representational style and then moving almost entirely to an abstract style.
Oh, okay.
So we do have at least one show every year where we feature abstract pieces by our member artists, because we want to make sure that we are showcasing everything that they're doing today. Plus, personally, I think that mixing it up makes the shows a little more exciting. So,
And also the medium that they use, so this is oil?
this is oil, and the title of this piece is Morning Makeup.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Chris has also traveled extensively through Southeastern Asia and has spent a lot of time with some of the indigenous communities there, some of the more marginalized groups there, and so a lot of his portraits, I cannot speak to this particular piece, but a lot of his portraits focus on the people he met during his travels and their everyday lives.
Wow, okay, very good, very good. Let's keep on going.
Sounds
keep
good.
it on a roll.
Okay.
What's
okay.
next?
Speaking of more abstract pieces, so this piece is by Sunil Howlater, and it is called Identity 2, and it is also in oil. Sunil is wonderful. Sunil and his wife are both artists, both member artists, and they are just fantastic, the nicest people. Sunil is from Bangladesh originally.
Okay.
And a lot of his art is inspired by his time there, but he lives in Mystic, and he's been living in Mystic for at least 10 years now. And he says that Mystic's history and beauty, along with his wonderful childhood memories from Bangladesh, are what inspires him. And his style could be called semi-abstract expressionism. You know, with every piece of his, the longer I look at it, the more I find in it. At first glance, it's always the colors that grab me with his pieces, and just the rainbow of colors across that, and the emotive qualities of his work. But then I start looking at the details, and here you can see the buoys, you can see the anchor, you can see the water, and I don't know, you know, he lives in Mystic. Maybe this was in Mystic. You can see the shoreline in the background with the houses in the background. And I always love spending a long time in front of Sunil's pieces. It's very fun to contemplate them. And he makes them at very different scales too. Some of his pieces are tiny little works, little 6x6 pieces, whereas this one may have been a 20 by 20. I'm not sure. 20 inches by 20 inches, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is lovely. Any hint as to the center figure in the painting? Is that a woman?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's a great question. I was wondering if it was perhaps a channel marker that had been removed from the water for the winter.
Oh, okay. Well, of course, I need to get my eyeballs fixed.
No, that's the beauty of this. That's part of the beauty of his work, is trying to
figure it out, right?
Figure it out. And one of the very fun parts about the Lyme Art Association is that for every exhibition we have an opening reception about a week after the shows go up. And our artists love coming to these opening receptions, and they're open to everybody. And so it's a great opportunity to come and meet the artists and talk to them about their work.
Yes.
And we publicize the dates on our website. Actually, this Friday evening from 5 to 7 p.m., Friday, May 12th, 2023, we have a reception for Ship to Shore and for the Elected Artist Show. So come on by, you're welcome.
What does Ship to Shore mean?
Ship to Shore is our annual marine show. And so we asked our artists to focus on pieces that are about the coastline in some way, or about sailing or ships or sea life. A couple artists got very creative with some still lifes featuring objects from the sea. It's one of our themed exhibitions. We also have an exhibition called New England Landscape in the fall. We're going to have one called Bon Appetit, which should be lots of fun. And every year, our artistic policies and exhibitions committee chooses new themes for the shows to
keep things lively.
Keep things lively and fun for everybody. Yeah.
Do you find that some of your artists actually have multiple themes and in their art, so they change from one theme to another?
Yes, absolutely. And every artist has their own particular style, but oftentimes within that style, they explore several different themes, several different topics or sets of subject matter within their work. And some of it's inspired by their travels or by the groups of other painters they work with. We have some artists who have traveled together up to Vermont to rent a house up there and spend time painting up there. Others have traveled out to Colorado or New Mexico. We have a painting group led by one of our artists that goes out around the local area every single Monday morning throughout the spring, summer, into the fall. And they have a wonderful time, and it's always great to see what they come back with.
Outdoors.
Yes, all outdoors.
Plein air.
Yeah. No, we do have artists who work in the studio, of course.
Okay.
As well, and we have one studio in our building, in our historic building, along with our galleries, and we have a steady stream of classes and workshops taking place in that studio. It's got some beautiful north light, beautiful skylights providing light from above as well, and a really fun sail system, actually, that is connected to the ceiling. And it's basically a canopy system so that the artists can control how much light is getting into the room at any given time.
Very nice.
Super fun, lots of pulleys.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
Yeah. Do you find that the artists change the medium, so they go from oil to watercolor to pencil draw? I mean, do you find that happens, or artists tend to stick to a particular one because that's what they know?
Often artists will work in maybe two mediums, it seems, but a lot of them I really see a lot of consistency, whether it's oil or watercolor or pastel or pen and ink or printmaking. I see a fair amount of consistency, usually acrylics. Sometimes there's some crossover, and we've got a few artists who do very fun mixed media pieces. Carol Dunn comes to mind immediately. She's fabulous, but usually they tend to stick with one medium.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Shall we take a look at another piece?
Absolutely.
Okay. Love to see who comes.
There we go. Oh, this is exactly what I'm going to do when I leave the studio. A glass of wine.
So this painting.
For the late afternoon.
I know.
Yes, go
I know.
right ahead.
This painting is by Sarah Stifler Lucas, who is a lovely person. And the painting is aptly titled Spice of Life, and it is in oil. And Sarah was recently on our board of directors until our board is mostly composed of artists. I mentioned we are a nonprofit,
Right, yes.
a member organization. Most of Sarah's work is in oil, and she lives in Stonington. And it has been said that she is well known for her masterfully articulated, provocative interpretations of life. And most of her work is very loose and impressionistic, and occasionally she incorporates some abstract elements as well. She does a lot of paintings of figures and cafes and street scenes and really beautiful, delicate renditions of children at play as well. And people always are a feature in her work, but sometimes it's more about the absence of people or the indication that people are there. You will rarely in her work see someone's face front and center, but there are always people involved in the background.
That's what you see here in this particular painting.
Yeah.
It looks like people at a cafe of some kind, right?
I would love to join them. It looks
exactly so. And I like the contrast of the red of the tablecloth with the deeper red of the wine. So that catches your eye immediately.
Her colors. She has a much... Well, you know what? Her palette varies. I would say that her palette for a lot of her indoor scenes, such as this, tends to be, or her street scenes even, tends to be on the darker side like this. But then she also does these bright, vibrant beach scenes as well, with people walking on the beach or children playing on the beach, that you can feel the sunshine, the summer sunshine saturating the painting. Whereas here you can feel the coziness of the interior here. It could be raining outside. It feels like it might be in this painting. And it feels like a really warm, welcoming environment for people to be. She's very, very good at creating an atmosphere that way.
And where is she from? She's from the local area as well?
She grew up in Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Well, we should have been bourbon and whiskey.
Yeah, maybe. I'll have to ask her, but she's been living in Stonington for some time now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you ever ask your artists what actually brings them to this part of the country if they don't come from it? I mean, you have come from here, then went away, and then came back. I mean, are your artists themselves express that same kind of feeling?
Sometimes a lot of them ended up here because they love the coast because they love the sea, because it's a wonderful place to be. Originally, when the Lyme art colony first got going, part of what made Old Lyme such a wonderful place for the artists was it being the halfway point between New York and Boston. So easy access for collectors, and yet, a relatively bucolic environment where they could get away from it all. A lot of the early artists talked about the beautiful special quality of the light here. I feel that myself some days.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even when it's other places have dark and dreary, we often have light and breezy. That's part of the process of kind of living here, is incorporating all of that into your own life. So it is wonderful. It is the topography of this area that actually, I think, invites people to be artistic, not only to be visual artists, but performing artists and dancers. I mean, we have all of that creativity very close to this area because it welcomes people from all over, and they find, regardless of their talent, they find a place for themselves among the many little towns that are sprung up here. And of course, it is nice that there is a railroad that can take you from this part to New York, to Washington, to up to Boston and Maine. I mean, there is a transportation that you don't even have to drive if you don't want to. Perhaps as an artist, you want to put all your pictures in your back seat, but it allows people to do and have gallery showings all over the area.
Yeah, a lot of our artists are represented at multiple galleries, and we're always grateful when they come back to us too, and keep showing with us, and we strive to have an atmosphere at the Lyme Art Association where we are welcoming artists at every stage in their journey. We've got students, we have emerging artists, we have mid-career artists, we have artists who are very well established, and so our pieces tend to reflect that. We do offer artist awards for every show, which really makes it fun for everybody. It encourages some of our artists to submit their very best work, which I'm sure they would do anyway, but there's a little added
Yes, there's an incentive. Exactly.
And it's wonderful to hear everybody cheering for each other and uplifting each other, and to see our artists grow and develop over the years is a joy.
Did you think that COVID had a direct impact on your association? Did the artists tell you that they found themselves inhibited from doing anything, or in fact, my God, I'm stuck here, I can't go anywhere, I can't see anyone, then maybe I reflect and do my work? Did you get that reaction from the artists?
It was a mixed bag. In part, a lot of our artists said that with COVID, they had time to really focus on painting and focus on really getting a lot done in their studios. On the other hand, a lot of our artists are also driven by collegiality and love their interactions with the public, with the collectors, with other artists, and they missed that very, very much. And so it did seem like it was a mixed bag, and we were so relieved when we were able to safely open the galleries again and safely started having social events again as well, along with our classes. That was a relief.
Inviting the public, of course, to partake as well.
Yes.
So the public probably missed having this in the community, I would imagine. So they were welcoming to have some more shows, some more places to go, new artists to see, or old artists with new stuff. I mean, it's...
We didn't stay closed for very long.
Oh, okay.
We're open 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And there are, of course, times during opening receptions, during summer weekends when we have a heavy flow of traffic through, but there are plenty of times when there's space to spread out. there's space to explore the galleries and appreciate what's on the walls. And you can spend as little as 5 or 10 minutes, if that's all you have, to come in and take a look around. You can spend a whole day. And because of those options, we had a lot of people who came in even during COVID, who carefully masked and maintained social distancing, but welcomed the opportunity to get out of the house into a relatively safe, open, ventilated environment, and just taken a different viewpoint for an afternoon.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Is the fact that you could do this is because the gallery itself is airy and there's opportunity for people not to step over each other? Yeah?
Yes, I love our gallery. Our building is more than 100 years old now. It was constructed in 1921. The artists of the Lyme Art Colony and of the Lyme Art Association, a lot of them had been living actually at the Florence Griswold house, at Miss Florence Griswold's house next door, which she had opened as a boarding house to the artists.
Okay.
And they had been having their yearly summer shows at the library, which still has a marvelous collection of art in Old Lyme on its walls, the Phoebe Noyes Library there. But after a few years, as you know, World War I was starting to, even before World War I, they had been talking about how they wanted a gallery of their own. And so one of the member artists, Charles Platt, who was a noted architect, offered his design services, and he designed the gallery, and they raised the funds to build it. It's a neoclassical sort of design. So we have our facade with two lengthy wings on either side, and then the gallery is T-shaped and it goes back from that. So there are 4 distinct rooms along with the foyer, and the whole gallery is skylit. We have skylights over every single gallery space upstairs, and it's just lovely. The changing atmosphere from above is spectacular, and it really creates an environment that's ideal for displaying fine art. And there are actually 120 skylights in the gallery.
Wow.
Not counting the skylights in the studio. And this summer we're going to be replacing all of them. They started leaking.
Yes.
They kept leaking.
Yeah.
We've been tracing down the leaks for years and years, and I've spent a little bit too much time in the past couple of years running around with a bucket during big storms.
Okay. Well, welcome to New England.
I know.
This is the land of the hurricanes.
I know. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly. Construction starts July 17th, and we're very, very excited.
Oh, all right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, we're going to.
Do you have artists actually drawing or making portraits of the building itself?
Some of them do. Some of them do. We actually had a wet paint event a couple of years ago where we invited artists for our centennial year in 2021 to go out and paint along Lyme Street. And one of our artists decided to set up right in front of the Lyme Art Association and make a painting of the building. Another one of our elected artists, Leif Nielsen, who has a studio in Chester.
Yes, he has been on this show.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yes,
I'm so glad.
yes.
He's so nice.
Yes.
And he has done a painting of the building. Sarah Nebel has done a painting of the building.
Should have
It's
a
always fun.
contest of who can make the nicest painting of the building.
I like that idea.
Yes,
I like that
absolutely.
idea.
Wonderful. So we have a few more artists to visit with?
Yes, we do. We do. Who's next? Let's see. Oh, Barbara Lucier. Can't you just feel the atmosphere and the light here? This painting is by Barbara Lucier, and it is titled Sweetgrass. And Barbara also works in oil, and I realize I may have gone a little heavy on
Oil.
For that.
Well, it's still very much a favored kind of medium.
It is. It is.
Yes.
We do have watercolorists
Yes.
as well, but Barbara really invokes the spirit of the Lyme Art Colony artists. She does so many beautiful pastoral scenes, but she also does beautiful pieces of paintings on the marshes that surround us, of the Lieutenant River, of coastal scenes, and light is a major, major quality of her work. She calls herself philosophically a direct descendant of the old Lyme and the American Hudson River School painters, and it is
Definitely
absolutely true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And it's well, it could be reflective of lots of communities around the world that have animals and this kind of pond stuff. But it certainly feels like it really does belong right here in this community, surrounded by the trees and the grass and the animals and the water and different kinds of water, different colors of the water that kind of reflect the different colors of the sky. So that's gives you a nice feel for that.
It always it feels like her work could be illustrating a Robert Frost poem, for example, and it's very evocative of poetry, of romance, of color and light. And she spent a lot of time, I guess, with her father exploring different landscapes as he was traveling. She ended up in the South Pacific at one point, in Massachusetts and Florida, and so she has a lot of perspective on different coastal landscapes around.
I guess around the world.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Was her father in the Navy?
I'm not sure. I am not sure if he was Fisher. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. So how does this painting comes to you for your exhibit? She goes ahead and submits it to be juried. Is that how it would work?
Yes, we publish a prospectus for each show on our website, and we send it out by email to our artists. And each prospectus, sets the limits for what the artists ought to be submitting, and outlines the rules and everything. And then we have one exciting weekend where all of the artists bring in their work for jurying and pick up the work from the old shows, and it's all beautiful chaos. And and then that week we have the juror come in on Monday and select the pieces, and we post the accepted list the next day, and our worker bees get hard at work and get everything installed and up on the walls by the end of the week.
Wow, that's a lot of work quickly. Yes, yeah.
It's a very busy but exciting week.
Yes, once upon a time in my other life, I was provided funding for the China Institute, which in fact in its interior has a gallery that twice a year would have an exhibition. And my job was to get money for these exhibitions, which usually cost about $500,000 to mount.
Wow.
And we would take the gallery and completely redo it to fit whatever the theme of the actual gallery showing would be. And there would be one that would be completely original and one that would be borrowed. So some exhibit would come from another place, including, because it's a China Institute, including from places as far away as Taiwan and China and Southeast Asia, to reflect the history of the gallery and of the China Institute. So yeah, I'm a little familiar, and I can.
Oh yes, you are.
I can tell you that it took people working almost 24 hours a day, as carpenters and painters. I mean, because we completely changed the entire space to fit whatever the exhibit was going to be.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Oh my goodness. Oh my
So-
goodness.
So that's a part of my past history. So I have this great appreciation as a result of that for artwork, art exhibitions, and how very difficult it is to actually present them and promote them and pay for them. It's even among
process.
people who are well known, it still is a major endeavor to put on an exhibition. So my hat is off to you for being able to do this.
Do you know, I used to go into museums and galleries when I was a little younger, and I would start immediately by looking at the paintings or the sculpture or whatever was on the walls. Mm-hmm. And then I started getting into museum administration, and I started looking at the walls themselves and at how things were hung on the walls, and at signs of patching, and at pest management, and all those other things that you look at when you're involved with the
And how
the
about
process.
insurance for bringing paintings from abroad to the United States?
Yes.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So anyway,
That's a
it is a big endeavor. And so I say it's good for you for doing so much in terms of so many changes. I was curious, do you also have, you mentioned it, sculpture? Do you?
We do, and I should have featured a sculpture in one of the pieces
Yes,
today.
so
but
you
I
also
forgot.
have sculpture.
I forgot. We have some wonderful sculptors. One of our sculptors just let me know today that she was accepted into a major national juried show, Frances Violante. That was very exciting. Serena Bates is another one of our wonderful sculptors. Susan Van Winkle makes the most adorable little animal sculptures out of cast bronze that are always very popular. We do have sculptures in
Because that
in our shows
medium
as
can
well.
change dramatically as well.
Yes.
You know, everything from
Yes.
paper mache to marble. So yeah, exactly.
In our current Ship to Shore marine show, we actually have a piece of furniture that incorporates a painting. It's a desk with a painting on top, and it was wonderful. It had to be in the show, and yeah, lots of fun. We've got marble and wood and bronze, and yeah,
You can
variety of-
actually do with far more variety in sculpture actually than you can in actual just paintings themselves.
Yeah.
But we have more paintings
More
for us.
paintings.
More
More
paintings.
paintings.
Yes, let us see some more paintings. Ah,
Oh.
there we go, a sailboat. Yes.
Now this one, I was torn because this is actually part of a diptych, but I thought that the single image made a greater impression for being viewed on a screen than the two next to each other. But if you visit in person, it's really stunning having the two pieces right next to each other. So this is a piece by Howard Park titled Beating Out the Race, and it is another oil painting. And Howard is so wonderful, and he teaches a lot of our classes along with Lisa Maselli, and they do some very fun one-day workshops too about speed painting, and Howard's work is very loose, very impressionistic, but very, he really captures the essence of what you see out there. There's always motion involved in his work.
That's right. Well, the sea itself is always in motion.
Yes, and this piece, there's another one that would go next to it that actually has a fisherman and a fishing boat next to it. The clouds just sort of cross over, and yeah, Howard has actually spent a great deal of time on the sea himself. He's an avid sailor, and he and Lisa co-teach classes, which get rave reviews from our students because there's always, there's a lot of interaction. There's a very good instructor-student ratio, and so we love having Howard with us.
Are there any requirements for people to take classes?
It depends on the class.
Okay.
We offer some classes for beginners, some classes for advanced artists, and we have pretty full descriptions of each course on our website. But if any prospective student ever has a question, they should just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll help them figure out what's right for them.
Okay, that's great. And they're in the classes are anywhere from young students in school?
No, we're just
adults.
We're just adult classes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just not equipped. We only have the one studio space, and I wish we could offer more, but I know that there are wonderful schools around and studios around offering classes to to younger students as well.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So when you look at the, you would imagine, I don't know, that there are many paintings that you have that depict the sea.
Many. And sometimes a lot of them are local,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes we have artists such as Ralph Acosta who depict works from their travels. Sometimes we have a themed show that really features pieces from people who have traveled and painted while abroad or taken photographs and brought them back to their studios to paint. And then I mentioned that a lot of our artists are local.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all local.
Mm-hmm.
We have some artists who hail from Texas,
Mm-hmm.
many from, of course, from Vermont and Maine and New York and New Jersey and Rhode Island and Massachusetts, some from California. And then every year we provide gallery space to an external organization or two. For example, the Hudson Valley Art Association comes to us every year to put on their annual national juried show.
Okay.
And we're very happy to
So it's
host.
kind of traveling for
Yeah.
them, and they go to other. No, just to you.
Just to us.
Okay,
Just to
you,
us,
yes,
yeah. And that it's a spectacular show. That will be going up at the end of June. I think it goes on view around June 21st or thereabouts. And they use we've got 4 gallery spaces upstairs, and they use 2 of the spaces, and it is chock full of paintings from all over the place and sculpture from all over. And their members, our members are often more local and regional, excellent artists here, but they do draw from a slightly broader pool, although we also share members. And so it's fun to see something a little different.
When you create a particular show, do you also create a catalog for people to look through?
We do. We create a paper catalog for each show, and we each show goes online as well, and it takes us about a week to get all of the images from each show online. Just takes that long to make sure we've gathered all the photographs and have everything edited correctly. But if you can't make it in person, we invite everyone to come and see what's on our website too. And we keep our past shows up for a couple of years. So
okay.
Yeah, so anyone is welcome to come and see what. I don't feel like it's quite the same as seeing it in person.
Right.
But that way, people from all over the world can see what we have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, if you also have the paper catalog.
Yes.
People who come can then share it with others, and if you're old enough, you'd still like to touch something rather than look at a computer screen. I mean, your eyeballs go, but with the paper, you can kind of look at it. So that's wonderful. And of course, it requires, I know this from my previous experience, really high quality photography in a catalog to make it appear as if you were actually there viewing the painting. So that is part of it. Just a curiosity, do you also do photography?
We do not usually do photography. We have had a few shows where we accept photographs. The last one, I believe, was 1 or 2 years ago, but that's just a decision that's that's constantly under consideration by our artistic policy committee. But usually it's just works on paper and sculptures, but not usually photography.
Interesting.
There's so many wonderful galleries that focus on photography.
On photography itself, right?
It hasn't been a huge part of our history, so.
Do we have any more?
I think so. I think there should be 2 more, perhaps 1 or 2 more.
All right, we're going to quickly go through our other Oh, look at this!
Oh.
Now that looks like a photograph.
Yes, photorealism might. Yes, this painting is by Del Bach, and Del has a big booming voice and is often. He often presents our awards because he has a big booming voice at our ceremonies, which is lots of fun. Yes, this one is called Standing Strong and Tall, and this is acrylic. And Del's work he also sometimes works in watercolor, and I would call Del a contemporary realist. And his depictions are almost tactile. Like you feel like he has some paintings of shells or barnacles underwater or stones underwater at the beach, and you feel like you could reach through and touch them. And here I feel like I'm standing right there looking up at whatever.
What is it?
Exact. I wish, you know.
You don't know what
I'm going to
it
be
is,
seeing Dell in a few days.
Yeah,
and
you'll
I'm
ask him. You'll ask him.
everybody needs to come and join us at the opening reception so that they can ask him.
All right.
Oh, boy.
So let's go skip ahead so we can put them all on.
Great.
The
Let's
next
see what's
one
next
is-
here. Who else did we bring? Oh, my goodness.
Here we go.
Oh, Judy Perry. Judy Perry is so magnificent. Her nocturnal scenes in particular, her paintings of the sea. This piece is titled Selene, Greek Goddess of the Moon, and it's done in pastel.
Okay.
And Judy Perry is a very strong person. She was in a bad accident a number of years ago.
Oh.
And painting for her was partly about healing, and a lot of her art reflects healing. And she strongly believes that water is an important part of that process. And most of her paintings focus on waves and water. She works in both pastel and watercolor, and she lives in Old Saybrook, so she has plenty of access to
Yes, exactly.
to the beach there. And she's written, I'm interested in interpreting the abundant colors and healing properties I experience in nature along the New England coastline. And all of her works make a very emotional connection often with their viewers. She strives to capture feelings, to capture memories, and she always says that water in all its changing forms and colors really serve as an inspiration to her. And she has given talks for us. I don't know if I mentioned, but we have an artist lecture series, and a lot of our artists have given talks at the Lyme Art Association that we've put up on YouTube. And you can find them on our website or our YouTube channel.
Terrific.
But a number of the artists, Sarah Lucas, for example, and Judy Perry and Barbara Lussier, have all given talks that are up on our website. And
That's wonderful. Do we have any more paintings?
I think that might have been it for now.
Oh, wonderful.
I could have brought more. I have so many. It was hard to choose.
I know, just too hard to talk about. As it is, we've almost filled up the hour just talking about the ones that we have.
Oh, my goodness.
So tell us again where we can find you or the organization and what's coming up next that you want the public to really know about.
Great. Well, we are at 90 Lyme Street in Old Lyme. We are right off of exit 70, and you can't miss our building. It is the beautiful building just off the exit with the bright blue doors and the welcoming staff. And the doors are always open Wednesday through Sundays from 10 to 5 p.m. or by appointment if evening hours or other hours would be more convenient. And
tell us again, what is it, Wednesday through
Sunday
from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yes.
The gallery is actually open.
Yes.
And you can, visit all the 4 galleries. Okay, very good. Excellent.
You can.
And so what will be the big fundraiser that you want the audience to know about so that if they enjoy what we're talking about, they might come and see something spectacular and support the organization?
Wonderful. I mentioned our skylights. We're in the midst of a capital campaign to replace those skylights with more energy efficient models that won't leak, and to have a new roof put on. And our Save the Skylights campaign is ongoing. On July 8th, we're having a fundraiser, which is going to be super fun. First of all, our artists are going out that day throughout Old Lyme and the surrounding communities for a wet paint event. They're going to go out and paint in plein air, and then they will bring all of their paintings back at 5 p.m. We'll put them on display. There will be awards presented. Jeff Cooley from the Cooley Gallery is going to come and judge them and choose some award winners. And we're going to have a Raise the Roof cocktail party and fundraiser, and it's going to be so much fun. All of our guests to the party will have the opportunity to buy the paintings as is. They will be framed, but they will have just been made that day, very fresh. And
The paint might not even be dry.
it won't. Everybody will
With
have to
lead.
be very careful.
Oil paints, yeah.
But we've got a beautiful lawn, and our Hudson Valley Art Show, along with our Expanding Visions Members Show, will be on exhibit. And it should just, we'll have the children's show, the young artists show on portraiture on display downstairs.
Are all these things available to the visitors for the audience to look up online?
They are all online.
Okay,
They
good.
are all online on our website, lymeartassociation.org.
That's
And
great.
we are very happy to answer questions by phone, by email. We're there for the public, for the community.
Can people just show up at the association if they're there from the Wednesday through Sunday time? You
Yes.
just walk right in and take a
Yes.
look? That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
So really
Absolutely.
nice and open to the public
Oh, yes.
to
yes.
enjoy.
Completely open to the public, thanks to the generosity of community members and our artists and local businesses and the state of Connecticut, which has provided some generous grants in recent years to keep our building open.
Well, I would think because it's a historic building, is it not considered to be an historic building?
It is. We are in the Old Lyme Historic District. Yes, since
And I know the state in the past has been very generous about trying to maintain those beautiful old buildings
Yes.
so that they are part of our heritage.
Yes.
And that succeeding generations will have the opportunity to look and see.
Mm-hmm.
So that's wonderful. I am so glad that you came. This is a wonderful association. I hope that our listeners will follow through and go ahead on the website and check it all out. I also want to tell our audience that, again, I ask people if they're interested in creative writing. I have my own creative writing class at the Pawcatuck Neighborhood Center, which is in Pawcatuck, Connecticut, not too far, completely free. And we have lots of fun. It's for people who want to write, whether they've been thinking about writing, or they're writing a story, or they're writing a book, and they'd like to have some people take a listen to what they have done. So we absolutely welcome people so you can contact me at GraysonHarriet@gmail for more information. Otherwise, we're there on Wednesday mornings, 11 o'clock a.m., and I hope some people will come and join me. Again, perfectly free, and it's a wonderful community activity. So I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank my guests. I want to thank the Old Lyme Art Association. Give them your support if you can. And this is Harriet Grayson wishing you a wonderful spring day.